How can you become fluent in a foreign language in 9 to 10 months? Tune in today to Immigration Wednesdays to find out. Hi, I'm attorney Jeff Peak. I've been practicing immigration law for almost 20 years. And today I wanted to talk about a theme that has a little bit to do with immigration, and it's how to become fluent in a foreign language. And how did I do it? People ask me all the time when they find out that I'm fluent in Spanish and how long did it take me? I tell them, well, it's about 9 to 10 months, and it kind of blows their mind. How in the world did you do that? And I'm going to give you a few pieces of advice of what I did. I don't know if it's going to work for everybody. I think it can be very helpful. And first of all, a lot of people think I could never do that. I'm not very good with languages. Let me tell you, I took 4 semesters at the University of Texas Spanish, got the grade of C every one of those 4 classes. So I had literally 16 hours of a pure C on my GPA studying Spanish. So it was not like I was a stellar student before I went to go live in Mexico. And trust me, I would never call myself anywhere close to fluent after those 4 semesters. But I think they're saying part one, and the answer is, if you have a base of the language, that's important. I'm not saying you need 4 semesters of the language, but maybe you took it in high school. Maybe you started taking some classes before you. I think it's very important to have a base of understanding how to conjugate verbs, some basic vocabulary. I think that would go a far way. Second thing I'd say is go someplace. I think immersion is the way to do it quickly. Now, that's what I did. I immersed myself in a foreign culture. I lived in Saltillo, Coahuila, Mexico. I had a friend who had married a girl from there and had a place I could go. And I think it's important you immerse yourself in the culture. Can you become fluent living in the United States? I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's going to, in my opinion, take longer. So we're specifically talking about if you want to do it quickly in a period of 6 to 10 months, I think it can be doable, but you have to immerse yourself. You have to be willing to put that time and go somewhere where you're going to be hearing Spanish or whatever language you want to learn all day long. Third, I would go by myself. Now, and that's a little scary. A lot of people want to go in college groups or with friends or even move their family down there. The problem is, this is what I call, it doesn't allow you to turn your English brain off. And to me, that was important. I realized going down there really quickly, it was taking so long to be able to understand people speaking to me. It's because I was still trying to translate the words as they came in, hearing them through my ears, translate the words in my brain, and people talk faster than you can translate. So how do you turn that English brain off? Well, eventually you just have to commit to not thinking in English, not using English, and that takes a while. So the best way to do it is you go to a place where you're surrounded by Spanish or whatever language, foreign language, 24/7. Literally, you get up, you turn on the radio, you turn on the TV, you're hearing Spanish. You go to walk down the street, Spanish. Ordering lunch, Spanish. Classes, Spanish. Conversations with friends and people, Spanish. So I think that's a very important turn on the brain. And it's really impossible to do that if you're going down with friends and family who are English speakers, because of course, in the evenings, in the afternoons, in your break breaks, you're going to go revert back to what you know and what you was comfortable, which is English, and allows your mind to keep in that safe place. Next, I'd say you have to develop daily habits of practices, reading vocabulary words, and reviewing grammar. I don't think you need a lot of that. I think at least an hour a day needs to be set aside for that, studying that stuff. Fifth, I think it's really helpful if you can get a tutor who can help you with your conversational. So you can ask questions, things you heard, things you didn't understand. Every culture has little sayings and language peculiarities. I mean, English, my goodness, poor people, if you're trying to learn English, we have so many little expressions and sayings based on pop culture, based on slang, based on who knows, they've been around for hundreds of years, we don't even know where they came from, and we just say them. And you're not going to understand those unless you have somebody there to explain them to you. And it helps to have just at least somebody, a tutor. Maybe you can get by with a friend who knows the language really well and can help explain those things to you. So when you hear something like, hey, no entendí cuando dijeron la fiesta fue a puro madre. I didn't understand what that meant when they said the party was a puro madre. What does that even mean? You can ask somebody and they can explain it to you. What are those 2 words? What does that even mean? And I think lastly is if you can find things that attune your ear. What I did, I found it interesting to watch movies I'd already seen in English, so I kind of knew what they were saying, and watch them in Spanish. Or I would take songs that I'd never heard in Spanish and I would print out the lyrics and I would read along with the lyrics. So I'm listening to the words and hearing at the same time. If you can listen to a song in a foreign language and understand words in the song, you know you're getting somewhere, and that kind of helps attune your ear to those things. And then lastly, if you're a single person, nothing better. Get yourself a girlfriend, boyfriend who speaks the language, because then they can really spend the quality time that they can just going over different words and expressions. And it doesn't have to be a boyfriend, girlfriend. It could just be a close friend. But you know, that also can be something that helps you if you're there in that culture, really understand deeper levels of words and meanings. And if you do that, I think what you'll find is you'll get there in about the first 2 months will be really rough. And then about month 3, it just starts slowing down. You actually start understanding people. You can express yourself better. Your vocabulary is going to a point, and it just gets, you know, the steep curve starts flattening out a little bit, and you can start maturing your Spanish or your Chinese or whatever, your Mandarin or whatever language you're learning, little by little, and just really quickly like that. And you can find yourself fluent in 9 or 10 months. And then of course you got to keep using it. You know, if you're going to come back to the United States, make sure you get involved in just different opportunities where you have to speak weekly, hopefully, and that'll help you maintain it. So why would that be important? Well, likewise, if you're trying to learn English and you're here from the United States, you got to find a way to turn off your foreign language brain and plug into English speakers. Join some groups, join churches, get friends. I mean, obviously there's classes, you can study, but you want to be with native speakers as well. And if you're married, I know it's tough. You're going to go back in the evenings, you're going to speak the foreign language. You know, if you're married to the same person from the same country, the same culture, and speak the same language, you're going to adapt that. But just do your best. Maybe still watch shows in English at night, or listen to music or programs or podcasts in English, and those things might help. Anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit from my experience having lived in Mexico, what I did to maintain it, and hopefully that helps you. This is Immigration Wizards, Attorney Jeff Peak. We'll see you next week.